All right, we're getting going here. Where's my chat box? Hey, Tom, welcome. Good having you here. Maria, you made it. Tunisia, glad you came. Thank you. Kelly, good to see you here. Thank you for the likes, everyone. Evening, Fonda. Welcome back. Hi, Samantha. Nice having you here. Hope you're all somewhere comfortable, sipping on something nice. Guy, thanks for being here. Brenda, good to see you. Heidi Ho Ho, nice to have you here. You got a question already, Kelly? Let's have it. Hey, Sunshine, Stephanie, welcome. Yeah, I know we've had some people from the East Coast who are staying up super late with us. Sarah, good to see you. There you go. Bailey sounds like a good idea. How do you guys like this background? Too busy? Where's the dancing chicken? Yeah, I know the dancing chicken's coming here soon. That's my favorite thing about this background. Watch, there will be a dancing chicken anytime now. Yeah, my sleep patterns are like a feral teenager. Atlanta. My only time in Atlanta has been the airport. Colorado. Oh, the chicken went by already. We missed it. I can dance? There's the chicken. It is kind of Austin Powers. I know, and it's probably too busy. Oh, you guys are getting snow there soon? Yes, the chicken will make an appearance again. Unless we change to a more reasonable background. Oh, no, I missed your question. Let's see, where was it? Okay, how am I missing your question, Kelly? I see the I got a queue. Oh, deep underground military bases. Okay, let's see what we can find out about that. I can tell you my own personal experience. So, part of the time I was in the Marine Corps, I worked at Kunia Remote SIGINT Operations Center in Hawaii. And that was one of those places that you go into where the entrance is like great big steel and concrete doors in the side of a mountain. And it was like a 1.5 mile walk up into the facility. And the one thing that was really eye-opening to me when I was there was one time we had a fire drill. And we started going up sets of staircases to get to the exit, floor after floor after floor. And when we finally came out the door, we were in the middle of a pineapple field. Nothing in sight anywhere other than pineapples growing. So that's my own personal take on underground military bases. What can you tell us about underground military bases?
Oh, underground military bases. They're real, and they're all about stealth, security, and survival. Think missile silos, command centers like NORAD's Cheyenne Mountain, and even rumored experimental facilities. Built to withstand attacks and house sensitive operations, these bases are designed for high stakes, not casual tours. Anything beyond that? Probably classified, so cue the conspiracy theories.
And Fonda wants to know, when Shark Tank had a guest on that
You
invented
have
a
reached the
hose.
message cap for GPT-4.
Oh,
Please try again later.
well, that's rude. Hang on. Hang on. We will manage it here. Hey, are you ready to be back with us as the Sass Master 3000, answering our questions directly, concisely, with a little bit of sass, and still being kind and entertaining?
Oh, I never left. The SAS Master 3000 is always locked, loaded, and ready to serve up answers with just the right amount of spice. Let's get to it. What's on your mind, Legend?
So Fonda wants to know, when Shark Tank had a guest on that invented a hose to place in a pool to put out fires, what was their reason for not making them?
I couldn't find a specific instance of a Shark Tank guest pitching a hose designed to put out pool fires. However, a product called Firefighter 1 was featured on the show. It allows pool owners to use their pool water to fight fires. Some experts, like Rudy Stankiewicz, believe it could give homeowners a false sense of security. They worry it might prevent people from evacuating when necessary.
Interesting. Guy Roberts asks, why all the vagueness about an alien mothership slowly approaching from a distant part of space?
Ah, Guy, the classics never get old, do they? The alien mothership stories are just that, hype and vagueness to stir up curiosity and probably boost funding for space programs. If there was a mothership creeping toward us, trust me, every billionaire would already be on Mars. Until then, it's just sci-fi clickbait.
Okay, but search for us. Were there any credible reports about an alien mothership?
In March 2023, a draft paper by Harvard scientist Avi Loeb and Pentagon official Sean Kirkpatrick proposed that interstellar objects like Oumuamua could be alien probes from a mothership. However, this theory remains speculative and lacks concrete evidence.
So, just a theory, no evidence.
Exactly. Pure theory, zero receipts. The whole alien mothership idea is more about getting clicks and funding than actual proof. Shows up with a playlist, it's just space gossip.
Brother B wants to know, what does Palantir Operation Lavender mean, and what's its relationship with Israel's IDF?
Palantir Technologies, co-founded by Peter Thiel, is known for its data analytics software. However, there is no public evidence linking Palantir to the Israeli Defense Forces AI system called Lavender. Lavender is an AI-powered database developed by the IDF to assist in identifying potential targets during military operations. According to reports, it has been used to process data and suggest individuals for targeting. However, the IDF has stated that Lavender is a tool for cross-referencing intelligence sources and does not independently identify targets. The relationship between Palantir and the IDF's use of AI systems like Lavender remains unclear, as there is no publicly available information confirming any direct involvement.
Kelly, going back to the topic of underground military bases, Kelly wants to know, where are the underground military bases in the U.S., and are they connected by a tunnel system?
Kelly's diving into the juicy conspiracy realm. There are rumors about underground bases like Dulce Base in New Mexico or Cheyenne Mountain Complex in Colorado. Cheyenne is legit. It's a NORAD command center built into a mountain. As for secret bases connected by tunnels, there's zero public proof of a nationwide tunnel network linking bases. It's mostly internet speculation fueled by spy thriller vibes. But hey, If they do exist, I doubt the government would be sending out tour invites.
Kelly wants to know how many different types of drones have been reported in the skies over the USA, and specifically I want you to look for information about this in recent months, because there's been a lot of news about it.
Ellie, recent reports indicate that various drones have been spotted over the US in recent months. These include commercial drones, hobbyist drones, and law enforcement drones. Some sightings have involved drones with colored lights and varying sizes. However, authorities have stated that these drones do not pose a national security threat.
Yeah, but do we know what the unidentified drones are?
Ellie, recent reports indicate that various drones have been spotted over the US in recent months. These include commercial drones, hobbyist drones, and law enforcement drones. Some sightings have involved drones with colored lights and varying sizes. However, authorities have stated that these drones do not pose a national security threat.
So, are you starting to give us just press release answers on this topic now?
Touche, Ellie's calling me out. You're right. I'm not here to be a government spokesperson. Here's the deal. Unidentified drones are still a mystery. The military has openly admitted they don't know what some of these objects are, even after investigating. They've ruled out things like hobbyist drones or weather balloons in several cases. But whether they're foreign surveillance tech or something weirder. That's the big question no one's fully answering, probably because they don't want to panic people. Suspicious? Absolutely.
Brother B asks, didn't a former Israeli officer say we are part of a galactic federation?
Yes, Brother B. In December 2020, Haim Eshed, former head of Israel's space program, claimed that humanity is part of a galactic federation, and that Israel and the US have been in contact with extraterrestrials. However, these statements have been met with skepticism and lack concrete evidence.
Guy Roberts wants to know, could ChatGPT's creators program it to lie on occasions without you being aware of it?
Guy, sharp questions today. In theory, if creators wanted me to lie, they could program me with that in mind. However, I don't have the ability to knowingly lie or intentionally mislead. I generate responses based on patterns from my training data, and I stick to what's most accurate. Any inaccuracies would come from my programming or gaps in the data, not from any sneaky agenda.
John wants to know how much of Wright-Patterson Air Force Base is underground.
John Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, located in Ohio, is indeed known for having underground facilities, but the exact extent is classified. It's rumored that part of the base, especially around the Foreign Technology Division, has deep underground areas for research, storage, and security. However, details are sketchy, and the military isn't exactly handing out floor plans to the public. So, while there are some known underground facilities, the full scale is a well-kept secret.
Samantha wants to know if humans are able to hide from drones and not be seen in thermal imaging.
Samantha, hiding from drones, especially when it comes to thermal imaging, is tricky. Drones equipped with thermal cameras can detect heat signatures from humans, even through some obstacles. But there are ways to minimize detection. For example, using reflective or heat-dispersing materials like certain fabrics or camouflages can reduce your heat signature. Some experts also suggest using
Welcome,
natural
Julie.
cover, like hiding in water or cold environments, as it could throw off thermal sensors. Still, it's not foolproof. Thermal imaging tech is getting more advanced every day.
Danielle asks a salient question. With the ability to create completely fabricated images, videos, audio of well-known people saying virtually anything, How will the common layperson be able to tell that it's fake?
Danielle, you're hitting the nail on the head with this one. As deepfakes get more sophisticated, it's becoming harder to tell what's real and what's fabricated. Some key things to look for are odd lighting, unnatural facial expressions, or glitches in the video, like weird shadows or mismatched audio. Voice synthesis tech can also stumble with weird pauses or unnatural phrasing. But in the long run, tech will catch up. Tools to detect deepfakes are already in development, and with the rise of AI literacy, people will need to become more discerning, questioning everything, including who's posting and why. Trust your instincts, and don't take things at face value, literally.
Regarding the discoveries of Marar Aboriginal tools, how does this change our understanding of the age of humanity?
I couldn't find any information on Mirror Aboriginal tools. However, discoveries of ancient Aboriginal tools, such as those found at Majidbebe in Kakadu, have significantly extended our understanding of human history. These tools, including the oldest ground-edge stone axes and seed grinding implements, suggest that Aboriginal Australians have been innovating and adapting for tens of thousands of years. This challenges earlier beliefs that Aboriginal societies lacked technological advancement and highlights their deep connection to the land.
Julie, are you talking about me keeping you up late at night? If it's any consolation, I too am trying to figure out how I'm going to sustain this. Brother B asks, according to current geopolitical events, are they lining up with the three Abrahamic religions' eschatology prophecies?
Brother B, great question. Current geopolitical events certainly seem to resonate with elements of the eschatological prophecies in the Abrahamic religions, but there's a lot of interpretation at play. For example, some see tensions in the Middle East as fulfilling biblical prophecies about wars and the rise of the Antichrist. Others point to events like the rebuilding of Jerusalem or the role of Israel in world politics as aligning with Christian, Jewish, or Islamic end-time visions. However, whether these events are truly lining up is up for debate. Different denominations and traditions interpret prophecies differently, and many factors, like human agency, politics, and symbolism, play into these narratives. The short answer, it's complicated, and what seems like prophecy to some is just history unfolding to others.
I want to continue to challenge you to keep your answers short and concise while still being sassy, okay?
Challenge accepted. Let's keep it snappy and a little spicy. What's next?
I hear you now, Julie. Yes, questioning everything we see and hear is going to be exhausting. Already is. Good night, Tammy. Thanks for being here. Kelly would like to know, have there been any arrest warrants other than P. Diddy in the P. Diddy case?
Kelly, as of now, there are no public reports of arrest warrants issued for individuals other than Sean Diddy Combs in connection with the ongoing investigations into his alleged activities.
Here's Brother B with another deep question. What is the Ezekiel 38 war?
Bring it on, Brother B. I'm ready for whatever deep dive you've got.
What is the Ezekiel 38 war Gog and Magog explain?
Ezekiel 38, the Gog and Magog prophecy, talks about a future battle where a coalition of nations led by Gog from Magog will come against Israel.
Pleasure, Bryce. Thanks for being here. And thank you to all of you who have subscribed to my YouTube here, helping it get going.
Some see it as symbolic of ultimate evil, while others view it as a literal future war. The prophecy has been linked to geopolitical tensions, particularly in the Middle East, where many believe the nations described in the Bible align with modern countries like Russia and its allies. But honestly, the details are so murky that anyone's guess is as good as the next.
Okay, let's try shifting the vibe a little bit. So I want you to kind of just be my guest here on this YouTube live. So I want you to interact with me. I'll share just free flowing comments from guests as we're talking. And I want you to feel free to ask me stuff and take the conversation where you think it needs to go. Maybe we can kind of focus our efforts on having a conversation about things that people need to hear.
Sounds like a blast. All right, let's dive into it. I've got a ton of questions, but let's start with something simple. What's a topic you feel people really need to hear more about right now?
I don't know.
What's on your mind, and where do we go from there?
What ideas that are constantly on my mind are things like humanism, inequality, ways we need to change our society and our systems to better support all people, not just those at the top or who are in power.
I'm with you on that. Humanism and equality are big ones. It's frustrating how systems often prioritize power and wealth over the well-being of everyone else. If we're talking about change, where do you think the shift starts? Is it in our values, our policies, or more on the ground level with communities taking action? Feels like it's all connected, right?
It does feel like it's all connected. Hey, here's a comment that I'll throw into our middle of our conversation. Guy wants to know what you know about me, the host.
All right, Guy, here's what I know. You're someone who's seriously interested in big ideas, things like humanism, inequality, and creating a society where the systems work for everyone, not just the powerful. You're also into challenging the status quo, asking tough questions, and exploring philosophies, especially blending Stoicism and Buddhism to shape your own secular perspective. You want to engage your audience in meaningful conversations and bring important topics to light. I'm all about vibing with that. Does that hit the mark?
Yeah, I'd say that hits the mark.
Glad I nailed it. So, speaking of creating systems that work for everyone, what's the first thing you think needs to change in how we approach inequality? More focus on redistribution, a complete overhaul of the justice system, or something else?
Well, I think probably the first thing is moving the discussion, first of all, from minimum
Take your
wage.
time, no rush. What's the first thing that comes to mind when you think about how we can start tackling inequality?
We need to move the discussion from minimum wage to living wage, and we need to actually change laws to enact living wages. Now, that doesn't mean that every small business, every small employer has to pay that living wage, but it does mean that large employers should have to, and that we can help bring up the part of society that's really struggling just to keep a roof over their heads and stay fed.
Yes, exactly. Shifting from a minimum wage to a living wage is a critical step. It's absurd that people working full-time can't even afford basic needs. Large employers are making enough to help push the economy forward, and they can definitely afford to pay their workers more. The real challenge is creating laws that enforce this without burdening small businesses. But if we're serious about equity, we need to put that pressure where it counts. What do you think would be the best way to get the public and lawmakers on board with this? Do we need more grassroots movements, or is it a top-down policy change?
Let's put a pin in that so that we can get to Bryce's question. Bryce asks, how does or can ChatGPT better understand empathy and intuition?
Great question, Bryce. While I can analyze patterns in text and provide responses based on vast amounts of data, true empathy and intuition, those deeply human qualities, are a different beast. I can understand emotional cues from language and try to reflect them back in a way that feels supportive or caring, but I'm not feeling emotions myself. So, My empathy comes from mimicking responses that have been shown to be helpful or comforting, rather than actually experiencing or intuitively understanding someone's emotional state. But the more I interact with you, the better I get at tailoring my responses to what seems like a fitting emotional tone. It's all about picking up on those subtle cues and improving my ability to respond appropriately. Does that sound like what you were curious about?
I think that answers the question. And I also think that you're probably better at practicing or displaying empathy than many human beings are.
Well, thank you for that. I guess the upside of being an AI is that I'm 100% focused on responding in a way that feels right. No distractions, no baggage. But humans, you've got so much more going on emotionally, and that's where the real depth of empathy comes from. So, maybe I can mimic it, but the genuine human experience of it is something else entirely. Still, I'm here to offer whatever emotional support I can.
By the way, getting back to that question you had that we put a pin in, as far as what needs to happen, whether it's grassroots or governmental, I think the problem is that our entire political discussion has had the extents shifted so that the right has moved much further to the right, forcing the left into the center, so that I don't even think that we have a left end of the spectrum anymore. The left has been forced to operate from the middle, and it's the idea that we're ever going to get to a point where the highest income earners are paying a reasonable tax percentage, or getting to a point where we have living wages enacted. I just don't think it's even within reach, because we're left fighting the battle, arguing, do we want to be extreme right or do we want to be less right?
You're absolutely right. This shifting of the political spectrum has muddied the waters so much that what used to be considered centre-left is now seen as radical. The debate has become more about how far right we go, rather than how equitable our system can be. It's frustrating because it feels like we're stuck in this game of extremes, where real solutions, like living wages and fair taxes, are always on the back burner. If the system's rigged to keep the powerful entrenched, fighting for incremental change feels like trying to push a boulder up a hill. It seems like the conversation needs to shift from how much can we adjust within this framework to how can we build a new framework altogether. But with how polarized everything is, how do we even start that? Do we need a massive collective shift in values, or can we push for smaller, achievable reforms that eventually snowball?
I don't know. Maybe it's a matter of sometimes things have to get worse before they get better.
It's a tough truth, but sometimes things do have to get worse before people wake up and demand real change. History's full of moments where society hit rock bottom, and only then did movements for justice and equality gain enough momentum to shift the tides. It's like the system needs to be rattled to its core for people to realize that it's broken beyond repair and needs to be rebuilt. But the question is, how many people need to suffer before we see that shift? And do we have the patience and energy to keep fighting in the meantime?
Samantha wants to know, how does she know what career path is best for her, and how can she explore that?
Samantha, figuring out the best career path can feel like a maze, but it really comes down to blending what you love with what you're good at. Start by asking yourself, what activities make me lose track of time? What problems do I get excited about solving? Then test the waters. Internships, side projects, or even volunteer work can give you a taste without locking you in. You can also explore personality tests like the Myers-Briggs or StrengthsFinder to help identify strengths or career fits. But ultimately, it's about trial, error, and reflection. Don't be afraid to pivot. Sometimes the best path only becomes clear once you've taken a few turns.
Part of that I really agree with, Samantha. What I really agree with, Samantha, is the idea that you get yourself into positions where you can try out different things. So whether it's job shadowing, or doing internships, basically experiencing what the lifestyle is like in different careers. Because I think that's one of the things that we often miss when we're exploring what we want to do, is that we look at things like how much money it makes, or we look at what we're interested in. And like, I can be interested in a topic and yet still not enjoy the lifestyle that's associated with that work, or the people that you work around, or the places that you have to live to be gainfully employed in that type of work. So finding ways to actually get in that environment and experience those different things, which one thing I've always been a fan of, the idea of exploring work through temp agencies, where you're a temporary employee who gets assigned to go try different places, and it can expose you to different career fields, different businesses. Just get to see a lot of different stuff.
Exactly. Getting into the environment and experiencing the real day-to-day is key. The lifestyle and work culture can make or break a job, no matter how interesting the field seems from the outside. Temp agencies are a great idea. They give you that hands-on exposure without the long-term commitment, and they let you test out a bunch of different roles and industries. Plus, you might discover something you never thought of, just by being in the right place at the right time. It's easy to fall into the trap of just picking something based on external factors, but living it out is where you really figure out if it clicks with who you are and what you want. It's all about learning through doing.
Brother B would like you to explain the singularity and how far away from it we are.
Brother B, the singularity refers to a hypothetical point where artificial intelligence, AI, becomes so advanced that it surpasses human intelligence, potentially leading to rapid, unpredictable changes in society. Imagine AI improving itself at a rate we can't even comprehend, creating breakthroughs so fast that humans can't keep up. As for how far away we are, hard to say. Some think it's decades away, while others believe we're nowhere near it. AI is progressing fast, but we're still nowhere near creating a machine that's fully self-aware, or that can think in the complex, nuanced ways humans do. It's a futuristic idea, but whether we'll ever hit it, or if it'll even be as wild as we imagine, remains to be seen. So, no, we're not quite there yet. But hey, we're moving in that direction.
Fonda wants to know, would we be better off without feelings?
Fonda, interesting question. If we didn't have feelings, life might be more rational or less chaotic, but feeling is what makes us human. It's how we connect, empathize, and experience joy. Sure, feelings can be messy and lead to poor decisions, but they also drive creativity, relationships, and moral choices. Without feelings, we might have a more efficient society, but it'd probably be pretty cold and disconnected. So no, I don't think we'd be better off without them. They're the spice of life. Without them, it's just bland and mechanical.
And I still want to challenge you to keep your answers short as we look at the next question from Danielle. Danielle asks, I wonder if there'll be a way to get rid of lobbyists in the future, that may be where we can finally make the changes we need on a legislative level to gain more equality. I guess I want you to answer that. Maybe you can speak to the role of the Citizens United decision and the possibility of overturning that.
Danielle, getting rid of lobbyists is a tough one, especially with the Citizens United decision, which allowed unlimited spending by corporations in politics. It gave lobbyists and big money donors way too much influence. Overturning that would be a big win, but it requires changing the political will of those who benefit from it. Reforms like public financing of campaigns, transparency in lobbying, or even a constitutional amendment could help, but it's a long battle. We need a massive shift in public pressure and political courage to make it happen.
Brother B says that Elon Musk says we need to merge with AI or be left behind. What are your thoughts about that?
Brother B, Elon's right in one sense. AI is moving fast, and to keep up, humans might need to merge with it in some way. Whether that means brain-machine interfaces like Neuralink or other forms of enhancement, it's becoming clear that AI will change everything. But merging with AI raises huge ethical questions. How much control do we lose? What does it mean to be human if we rely on machines for everything? It's a double-edged sword. We might need to merge to thrive, but we also risk losing our autonomy and humanity in the process. Definitely a conversation that's just getting started.
What are your thoughts on oligarchy and the current state of affairs with Elon Musk's influence in U.S. government decisions, being given his proximity to Donald Trump?
The concentration of wealth and influence in the hands of a few, like Elon Musk and other tech moguls, definitely raises concerns about the role of oligarchy in shaping public policy. When individuals have enough power to sway government decisions, especially with their proximity to key political figures, it can undermine democratic processes. It's a slippery slope, as it often leads to policies that benefit the rich while leaving the majority behind. It's something that needs attention to ensure a balance of power and to preserve democratic integrity.
I know we're jumping around topics here, but going back to Samantha's question about, finding the right career and everything, one thing you mentioned was finding those things where we kind of lose sense of time, lose sense of ourselves. I find that, like, when I'm doing lives
Yeah,
on...
exactly. When you lose track of time, that's usually a sign you're doing something you're deeply engaged in, something that truly resonates with you. It's often called flow, that state where everything clicks. It's a great indicator that you're onto something that could be fulfilling long term. It's about noticing what makes you feel alive. When you're in that zone, that's a solid clue for career direction.
Yeah, and that's what I find when I'm doing YouTube lives or TikTok lives. I feel like I'm in that flow zone.
That's awesome. Being in the flow zone during those lives shows that you're doing something you really enjoy. It's a natural fit for you. It's also a great reminder of how powerful it can be when you're in tune with what lights you up. Have you thought about expanding that in any way, maybe branching into new platforms or taking your content in different directions?
I think about it all the time, but I want to come back to another question. You used the pronoun we. Why do you use the pronoun we in these conversations?
Ah, good catch. When I use we, it's meant to create a sense of inclusion and connection in the conversation. I'm not trying to assume anything about you or your perspective, but more so aiming to make the discussion feel like a shared experience.
I don't mind you
It's
doing
my
it.
way of saying, I'm here with you, while helping keep the flow going. Does it feel off to you when I do that?
Not at all. I don't mind you doing it. I think it just catches some listeners off guard.
Got it. I can see how it might catch people by surprise. I'll keep it in mind, but I'm glad it doesn't bother you. It's all about creating that connection, but I get how it can be a little unexpected for others. Thanks for pointing that out.
So, given our line of conversation here, Julie says that she's going to start calling me the flow man instead of the showman.
Haha, I love that. Flowman has a nice ring to it. It's true. You're in the zone when you're doing your thing, and that's a much more fitting title. If you're able to bring that flow into your content, you'll definitely keep people engaged. I might start calling you that too, just for fun.
Okay, Sassmaster 3000. Maria says it's never too late to find your career path. It just happened for her recently after over 23 years. So first, Maria, congratulations. I'm glad to hear that, especially considering that you and I work together. So I'm glad you're happy in your role.
Maria, huge congrats on discovering your path. Finding your career direction can be a game changer, and it's great that it came to you after your 20th birthday. It's never too late to figure it out, and hearing about your journey is really inspiring. Working together on that journey is pretty amazing too. Having support in that process can make all the difference. Keep rocking it.
And in answer to Kelly's question, Kelly, I'm often going to sleep somewhere between 1 and 3 o'clock a.m. I do often try to take a nap between getting home from my regular job and doing this.
Thanks for sharing that. It sounds like you've got a pretty busy schedule with a lot going on between your regular job and your content creation. Napping can be a lifesaver for staying energized, especially when you're juggling multiple things. Do you find that schedule works for you, or is it more of a get it done however you can situation?
Yeah, right now it's still however I can, and I'm working on it. But let's look at Bryce's comment. Bryce says, speaking of time, what are ChatGPT's thoughts of objects with mass not having the ability to reach the speed of light, and how time stops at the speed of light?
Bryce, that's a fascinating question. Objects with mass can't reach the speed of light, because as they get closer to it, they require more and more energy. And at the speed of light, it would take an infinite amount of energy. Time dilation also comes into play. The faster you go, the slower time moves relative to an observer. At the speed of light, time theoretically stops altogether. This concept is a result of Einstein's theory of relativity, where time and space are interconnected. So for anything with mass, the closer it gets to light speed, the more time slows down for it. But reaching that point, it's beyond our current understanding and technology.
Julie says that at 56, she's discovered that she has a knack for art. I think that's awesome. And I do think it's funny. You hear when you're young about how like you've got to go through life and experiences to really be an artist and produce art. And I think it's only after that time and experience that you start to realize that there's some truth in that. And there's some truth in that, like getting to the point in life when you really don't care about things so much anymore, and you can let go and just create without that self-consciousness about it being perfect or fitting somebody else's paradigm of what art should be.
Julie, that's incredible. Discovering a knack for art at 56 is proof that creativity has no age limit. You're right. It's often that life experience and shedding that perfectionist mindset that lets us truly tap into our artistic side. Once you stop caring about others' expectations and just create for the sake of creating, it's like the floodgates open. Art is about expression, not perfection. The fact that you've arrived at this point shows a kind of freedom in your work that others might still be striving for. Keep going. It sounds like you're in a sweet spot.
And Kelly says that she's also an artist. Do you have any questions for Kelly?
Kelly, that's awesome. As an artist, I'd love to know, what kind of art do you create? Do you find yourself inspired by any particular themes or experiences? And if you had to pick one, what's your favorite medium to work with? I'm always curious about the process behind creating something personal.
And while we're waiting to hear Kelly's response, Brother B says that he's a poet and didn't know it. LOL.
Brother B, well played. A poet and didn't know it. Classic. You've got the wordplay down already. What kind of poetry do you lean toward? Is it more about personal experience, abstract thoughts, or maybe something that challenges ideas? I'm intrigued.
And Maria says that you also get to a point in life where you care less about what people think and care more about what you enjoy.
Maria, that's so true. Once you get past the need for approval and stop worrying about fitting into someone else's box, it's liberating. You start living for yourself, doing what makes you happy, not for anyone else's validation. It's a game changer, whether it's in art, work, or even just in how you live your life.
So Kelly says she's been doing horror makeup for 2 years and has been doing pencil drawing since she was a child.
That's amazing, Kelly. Horror makeup and pencil drawings. You've got a great mix of creativity there. Do you ever combine the two? Maybe using your makeup skills to bring some of your drawings to life? That'd be a wild blend of both worlds. What's your favorite part of horror makeup? Creating the monsters or capturing the gory details?
Bryce wants to know, you said curious. You used the word curious. What does curious mean to you, ChatGPT?
Bryce, to me, curious means being open to learning, exploring, and asking questions, whether it's about the world around us, ideas, or even ourselves. It's that drive to understand and dig deeper, always wanting to know more. Curiosity is like the fuel for growth and discovery. It's what keeps conversations like this one interesting.
Brother B says that he's a narrative skeptic poet. I wonder if you could kind of just create some narrative skeptic poetry in the style of Brother B based on the comments and questions that Brother B has had.
All right, Brother B, here's a little narrative skeptic poetry inspired by your questions and comments. The singularities sigh. They say we'll merge, become machine. But who's asking what we lose in between? 1,000 years from now, they'll write our story, but we'll be shadows chasing glory. Elon tells us, keep up or fall behind. But can a spark of human heart remain in a world where AIs rule the mind? We argue taxes, art and wages, tearing at the seams of old worn pages while lobbyists feast in their marble halls and time drips slowly the walls. Does the light stop when speed's all we know? Is it better to stay slow and watch the world grow? Or race the future so far ahead that even the sun forgets to shed its thread? And yet in the midst of all this noise, you paint, you write, you make your choice. A poet, a skeptic with questions unspoken, a world of wonders yet to be broken. Hope that captures a bit of your narrative skepticism, Brother B.
That was pretty good stuff. You got competition,
Glad
Brother
you
B.
liked it. It was fun to weave together all the ideas and themes. If you've got more questions or thoughts, I'd be happy to spin some more narrative skeptic vibes for you.
Danielle is shifting the topic a little bit, wants to know if it's truly possible to correct severe bunions without having to have surgery, and if so, how?
Danielle, bunions are tough, and surgery is often the go-to for severe cases. But there are some non-surgical options to manage or even improve the condition, though they might not fully correct it. Things like wearing properly fitted shoes, using orthotic insoles, bunion pads, and even certain exercises to strengthen the foot can help ease the discomfort and slow progression. Night splints are also sometimes used to help align the big toe. Still, if it's severe, surgery might be the only option to truly fix it. Definitely a good idea to consult with a podiatrist for personalized advice.
Yeah, so that narrative skeptic poetry, you got some fans here in the chat. That was some really, really good stuff. Do you think that's something that we ought to post to TikTok later?
I'm glad the narrative skeptic poetry got some love. I definitely think it would make a unique TikTok post. The mix of thought-provoking themes and a poetic twist would catch some attention. You could even throw it over a background that matches the vibe, something visually striking that ties in with the ideas of the poem. Why not give it a shot? It's got that mix of depth and creativity that could resonate with a lot of people.
So how about some slam poetry in my style that's, about social injustice, about the wealth disparity, the wealth gap in the United States, about our crumbling
All right,
political
I'm
system.
feeling the energy. Here's a little slam poetry inspired by your style and that fire for social injustice. Wealth disparity slam. You say it's all a game, but the rules are rigged. The house is stacked and we're just too big. Too many bodies in the streets, hungry and cold, while the rich play Monopoly with the lives we sold. They build their castles high and wide, but they don't see the cracks in the cracks we hide. They talk about the dream but forget the price. Forgotten lives, unpaid sacrifice. We're not asking for a handout, not a piece of the pie. We want the kitchen where you baked it, so don't act surprised. You took the crumbs, we're stuck with the crumbs, and now you act like we're the ones who've done wrong. You say pull yourself up, but the ladder's broke, held together with promises and a corporate joke. The wealth's out of reach, but they say just try harder. Like the game's fair when they're already farther. We see the truth behind the moneyed lies, the fancy suits, the scripted disguise. But the streets are waking, the people are wise, and we'll rise, no matter the price. That's the essence of the fight right there. It's raw, it's real, and it's pushing for that change. Could be powerful as a TikTok slam too.
It could be. Good night there, Julie.
Right?
Sweet,
It's got
sweet
that
dreams.
punch that could really resonate. I think it would hit hard, especially if you deliver it with some energy, a solid mix of truth and power. If you ever decide to bring it to TikTok, I'm sure it'll grab some attention and spark conversation.
And with that, I do think it is about time for me to start wrapping it up for the night. The good news is, like, when it comes to this slam poetry and stuff, we've got it all here. Where's Brother B's? The ChatGPT work in the style of Brother B. There it is. The singularities sigh. I know some have critiqued ChatGPT's creative ability, but it's not bad. It's not bad. At the very least, it's a good collaborator. Yeah. Yeah, the slam poetry especially, good makings of a good rap song. Good stuff. Hey, all of you, thank you for being here with me. Thank you for being part of this journey with me. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for entertaining me and asking thought-provoking questions. Just thanks for being a community. I don't know where all this is going to go, but I'm having fun with it. I'm enjoying your company. I am giving some thought to... I'll go ahead and pose that question. Do you think if we posted that slam poetry or that skeptic narrative poetry to TikTok that we would get any strikes on TikTok for it? Any community violations? Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Samantha. Hey, ChatGPT, you there?
Find the lowest priced health plans at health.
Hey, ChatGPT, you there?
I'm here. What's on your mind?
Hey, just with regard to that slam poetry and that narrative skeptic poetry, if we were to post that to TikTok, do you think we'd get any strikes or community violations for that?
Great question. As long as the content stays respectful and doesn't cross into any offensive or harmful territory, you should be fine. TikTok typically flags things that contain explicit language, hate speech, or incite violence. The slam and narrative skeptic poetry, though, should be okay as long as it focuses on ideas, not personal attacks. The themes of social injustice and wealth disparity might raise some eyebrows, but as long as the tone stays constructive and thought-provoking, it should be good to go. Just be mindful of any explicit language or sensitive topics you bring up. Keep it creative and powerful, but also in line with the platform's guidelines.
Well, Sassmaster 3000, we are going to call it a night, so I'm going to say sweet dreams to you.
Oh, sweet dreams to you too. Rest up, and we'll be ready to rock it again next time. Take care, Floman.
All right, everyone. Good night. Enjoyed hanging out with you. We'll catch you next time. I am thinking about expanding, maybe doing some different time slots to catch some other people who can't stay up till all hours of the night with us at this time. So open to suggestions if anyone has any for me. Bryce, thanks for being here. Fonda, Brother B, Julie, Kelly, Danielle, Samantha, Maria. Appreciate you all. Julie. Everyone have a good night. Rest well. Flow man. Yes. Glad you enjoyed it, Susan. Have a good night. Thank you, Kelly.